Welcome everyone to the Q&A session for our upcoming course, The Energy Codes for Rebirth, the 7-week journey to raise your vibrational frequency for healing, vitality, and awakening. I'm Lisa Von East, and I'm really looking forward to hosting this Q&A conversation for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Dr. Sue Morter and address questions about her upcoming 7-week course, The Energy Codes for Rebirth, which begins Wednesday, April 29th. A little later, I'll explain how you can participate in the course, even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Dr. Sue Morter is an international speaker, master of bioenergetic medicine, and quantum field visionary who redirects the flow of energy patterns in the body to activate full human potential. Through her seminars, retreats, and presentations, Dr. Sue illuminates the relationship of quantum science and energy medicine, as well as the elevation of human consciousness and life mastery. Her globally taught Energy Codes coursework teaches individuals how to clear subconscious memory blockages and how to master the energetics of their lives. She's also the author of The Energy Codes, the 7-step system to awaken your spirit, heal your body, and live your best life. And in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions for Dr. Sue. But first, I want to go ahead and welcome her to our session, and she's going to begin our time together by leading us in an opening exercise. Welcome, Sue. It's great to see you today.
Oh, it's always wonderful to be with you, Lisa, and always with the Shift community. There's nothing quite like it. We gather people from around the world and delve into what matters most, right? So it's a pleasure to be here. So one of the things that I would love to do is invite you all to pay attention to how you've been feeling lately. Perhaps there's been a little stir inside your own subconscious and things are starting to rise because life on the outside isn't allowing us to be so busy that we're able to override or outrun, even outperform energies from inside of us that we're not really particularly comfortable feeling. And yet those energies are actually driving our lives. They cause us to engage in situations that in ways that we don't actually really want to be engaging. They cause us to say things that we regret or to fear about the future. They're energies that we've not really tapped and allowed our consciousness to land on and to love into and to embrace and dissolve. And because of that, we end up feeling stressed or feeling alone or feeling like we are missing something or that there is an impossibility in our lives in some way, that the chances and the luck and the opportunities don't come our way. And all because we're directing energy in a particular fashion that isn't how we're truly designed to be working with the energy of our bodies and of our lives. So here's an invitation. Just think right now, just for a moment. Don't worry, we're going to go someplace, but I'm going to pull you back out of it and do something else with it. Think of something that you might be feeling right now that's unusual, unfamiliar, maybe uncomfortable. Perhaps you're feeling a little nervous about the present or the future. Perhaps you're frustrated because of financial circumstances or because of being kept inside or cooped up in certain ways and unable to experience our freedoms the way that we're normally able to. And it's perfect, and yet it's not so fun, okay? So just think about that feeling. Just maybe you don't even have a name for it, but there's just a feeling inside of you that isn't your exact favorite feeling. Just notice how it feels in your body. I'm going to invite you to just squeeze your shoulder blades together, just gently, and drop them down. And take a big belly breath, not in your chest, but low in your belly. While you're feeling these feelings that are maybe uncomfortable or maybe unusual or unfamiliar, just what's up right now. And feel that feeling and take a belly breath. Just breathe into your belly. Not in the upper lobes of your lungs, but low, below the navel, and exhale. Keep those shoulder blades together and down, and breathe into your belly. And exhale. And now breathe into your belly, and now breathe into your chest, and breathe bigger than your body, and then exhale in every direction. And just keep feeling those feelings that you're feeling. And inhale from every direction into your belly. And keep inhaling until it fills the upper lobes of your chest. And continue to inhale until it feels as if you're bigger than the body. And exhale in every direction. And manage to be aware of those feelings that you're feeling right now. And inhale into your belly. And inhale into your upper chest and stretch it open through the solar plexus on your way up to the upper lobes of your lungs. Keep inhaling bigger than the body and exhale in every direction. And inhale into your belly again and pay attention to what you're feeling inside. And now bring your attention right up through the center of your body, right up and out the top of your head. And inhale as if you're drawing something, white light, high frequency energy, possibility, guidance, support, right into the center of your brain. And breathe it right down into the throat and deeper still into your heart and all the way down to your belly. Just draw it in. And exhale down into the earth. And pay attention to that feeling that you've been feeling recently. And take a breath up from the earth into your belly. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and drop them down. And then exhale up through your throat and up through the center of your brain and out the top of your head. And inhale again as if you're drawing assistance from a higher plane, from your own higher self, a higher wisdom, that there must be some purpose and reason that I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And breathe it all the way into your belly. And then exhale down into the earth. Just give it to Mother Earth. Just release and surrender what you've been holding on to or what you've been afraid of. And take a deep breath in as if you're breathing up support, solid support from nature, Mother Nature, and a pure loving presence into your belly and into your heart. And then exhale that up through your throat and out through the center of your brain and out the top of your head. And what we're doing is bridging these worlds because we're actually, breathe right back down into the core. We're actually much more than the version of us that's in this body and living in this life. And exhale right into the earth. And pay attention to that energy, if you can find it, that you've been uncomfortable with lately. And breathe up into your belly and squeeze your shoulder blades and drop them down. And then exhale, draw your belly back to the spine and exhale up and out through your throat and out the top of the head. And what we're doing simultaneously is connecting with truly the quantum self. Breathe in from overhead, breathe into the center of the brain, into the throat, into the heart, into the belly. Right through these energies that you've been feeling that you're uncomfortable with or unfamiliar with. And exhale them right down into the earth. And notice how you feel in this moment. That even though this situation may be happening in your life right now, that is unusual and out of sorts in some way, there is a sensation that we can cultivate inside the system that allows for the system to flow the way that it was designed to flow and allows us to transmute these current circumstances into something that will actually serve us. It allows us to birth into a creative space instead of a reactive, contracted space. You likely feel, because thousands and thousands of people over many, many times in hundreds and hundreds of different scenarios of workshops and courses and classes that I've taught around the world, people reply that they have a sense of uncommon well-being when they begin this heart coherence breath and this central channel breathing that allows us to align a variety of energy frequencies rather than getting caught up in our thought patterns and the individual energies that those thought patterns generate in our lives all day long, every day. And we start getting used to living in this compressed, compact energy that ultimately gives us a very limited experience of who we are and what life is really meant to be. So that when we ultimately, and this is something that I definitely will unpack and describe and explain how that works and how we can, most importantly, apply this in today's situation. I will be explaining about how this works to transmute the energy into something that you can use instead of something you're trying to avoid. Because everything is energy. And we are here as energy beings coming here to master our ability to transmute energy from one frequency to another, and we can't do it alone. We have to do it together, but it isn't just together with other people. It's together with all of the parts of who we are, not just our minds, but our mind and our body and our breath, the spiritual being, the cosmic quantum self, and our true physical rubber meets the road self, all of them have to work together. We are in this better together, and particularly when all of the parts of us are operating together. So perhaps you feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more present or possibility. And I just want you to imagine that in the study of mindfulness and bringing conscious presence to any situation, we literally rule out so many possibilities that the mind is wrestling with all the time. What if this happens? Worst case scenario. What if I didn't do this? What if this happens in the future? And we come to this present now moment. And what I would love for us to engage in this conversation today is the routing of all of our questions and our interactions to one thing, and that is mindfulness in the body is embodiment. And it sustainably allows us to be present and clear and strong and masterful, especially when we don't know what's next, because it activates the truth of who we are. And we become capable of being a better creator of our lives when our circumstances aren't typical. So we are seated at a magical time to take this ability to transmute energies from fearful ones into passionate ones of loving presence, embodiment that allows for health and vitality and strength of our immune system, but every other system of our body too, because we're starting to live as we were meant to be living. So let's just enjoy the sense of well-being as we begin a conversation and see what we can do to add upon that as we dig in today.
All right. Thank you so much for laying out such a really strong foundation for people who might not be as familiar with your work as others. I think we're at a really good place to start out. So we have the rest of our time together to dive into our viewers' questions for Dr. Sue as we prepare for her upcoming course. Again, that's called The Energy Codes for Rebirth, and it begins Wednesday, April 29th. And if you want to check out the website and learn more about the 7-week course, or to maybe follow along with us, you can visit energycodescourse.com to see the full description. So let's go ahead and get into some Q&A. If you have a question for Dr. Sue, go ahead, type it in. I'll be happy to read it aloud. And in the meantime, we do have some questions already lined up. And this is from somebody who's taken one of your courses before. This is Monica, who wants to know, what is the difference from the previous Energy Codes programs that you did with Shift before and during the publication of your book? Is this one for a rebirth specifically because of the pandemic conditions we're living through?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful question. And yes, it is actually the inspiration behind putting a class together. I've been working with, of course, the energies of creativity and integration, and integrating the brains in the gut and the brains in our hearts and the brains in our heads, and integrating those three processing plants for purposes of higher creativity for a while, for several years. And what is upon us right now is such an amazing opportunity for us to truly step into creativity, because we have real-time practice in these now moments where we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening next. And it is important that we emerge from these times better than we were before them, and that we not just do time sequestering for safety purposes, for example, but rather we take it as this cosmic, truly this message from the universe, which is always only ever happening, that we are being guided toward how to unfold and awaken in our highest and our greatest magnificence. And so if we are to take this now moment for everything that it has to offer us, then I wanted to provide a course that is guidance for people to get very specific. So we're going to be taking very relevant moments of this now time and the things that people are experiencing, and turning them in this quantum flip kind of way, specifically into a deep and rich understanding of how exactly what I'm experiencing as an individual in these moments, how it's serving me. It's not something that I need to try to get away from or reject, or that there's something wrong because I'm feeling worried or afraid or depressed or anxious or uncertain in some way. that those energies of uncertainty or depression or anger or frustration are actually energies that could be used for something extraordinarily potent in awakening our inner gifts. But we've not been caused as a collective to look at that at the same time ever before in any of our lifetimes. And so as we are together here, everyone in that moment, we have an energy that we can work with that is unique to this time in our lives ever. And so, yes, this course is very specifically drawn together for our accessing our creativity in the midst of the unknown. It isn't something that we're supposed to contend with. It's something that we're supposed to take advantage of and run with it and develop and evolve exponentially because of these circumstances. And so I know that's a different way of thinking for people. And so when I started putting the course together, I became very passionate about laying that out for individuals, and so that we can, again, emerge as more than we were before.
All right. That actually is a perfect segue into a question here from Teresa, who says, I go back and forth between feeling exhilaration and excitement because we're in this time of transformation, yet I will then feel guilt for feeling so empowered while others are suffering. How can I reconcile these two feelings?
Beautiful. I really try to encourage people in the courses in these kinds of circumstances where we get to dialogue back and forth and move into discussions that have practical application. And then I'll offer up techniques that correlate to how to embody the discussion that we just had, how to build circuitry inside your own nervous system to sustain and remember and come from the solutions that we come up with in these discussions. And so I love this. This was a great one, because of this very thing. Someone is feeling, kind of productive and creative in these moments, and other people are losing loved ones and really freaking out. Maybe they don't feel well themselves, and they're very worried that they could be headed down this path, or they're compromised in some way. Other people are worried about their financial circumstances, etc. And here's what I know. When we claim every degree of our own loving presence for ourselves, which includes self-compassion, it includes self-love, and it also includes self-celebration, celebration of any vibration that we can master. And the more we do each of those, the more capable we become. And the more capable we become, the more available we are to help others that are in need. And if we don't have what we think of as direct access to help others, one of the sessions that I'm going to be creating is designed to help people in a vibrational radio station sort of way, so that you don't have to be in the same room with someone in order to help them. You don't even have to be able to know who it is that you're helping. But I want to give an explanation for people to understand how we are connected to the entire bandwidth of human consciousness, and how we can, by resolving our own issue, by letting go of our own concern, we upload a vibrational frequency that is more stable than the one that most of humanity is dialing into today. And as such, they are able to receive a frequency that is more stable, that is more coherent. And when someone on the other side of the planet all of a sudden has a moment of coherence where they feel connected and they feel okay, when it's been days or maybe even weeks by now since they've had such a feeling, we're going to understand the mechanism of how that works. We're going to understand the structural dynamic of the universe and how we operate inside of that, and how we can constantly be birthing and rebirthing ourselves. And a byproduct of that is an emanation into the entire bandwidth of humanity, and others benefit. It's as if the air they breathe becomes more pure because you're purifying it. The energy that they're living in becomes more stable because you're stabilizing your own. So just by loving in to your own situation, whether compassionately or victoriously or in a celebratory fashion, anywhere on that spectrum is effective when we come into the full embrace of who we are and what is happening here. And we really have an understanding of how the universe is operating right through us and out into the world. We recognize that we can be of great service when we accept the goodness for ourselves, it emanates and radiates off of us and is then available for others to be surrounded by an energy of greater and greater possibility. So it's a both and. Everyone wins. Hopefully that's helpful.
That's excellent news. Thank you so much for that. Let's do a question here from Diana, who wants to know, when doing the central channel breathing, are feelings rather than thoughts most helpful?
Feelings are so much more important than thoughts. It's so interesting because our world has been raised on what do I do and how do I, control my mind. And one of the things that we have to do is not try to shut our mind down, but to use our mind to tap in to the energies that are authentically rising inside of us. Because what we are feeling, we're supposed to be feeling. And if we don't like the feeling that we're feeling, it's only because we don't have an understanding for it and an appreciation for what it is. And ironically, the moment we develop that understanding, the feeling starts to change. The moment that we start to come present to the feeling starts to unfold and unpack, and then it becomes available with more spaciousness to be constructed into something new, to be birthed into a new use of that energy. The feeling body inside of us doesn't lie. The mind, however, it can cover up and cloak and rationalize and project and do all kinds of things in an attempt to survive, thinking that it's doing us a favor, but all the while it's creating an entanglement in our lives that becomes so elusive. We get so out of touch with the infinite possibilities of authenticity, because the mind is so busy comparing and trying to be who we think we're supposed to be and freaking out and then not giving ourselves permission for that feeling or that thought. And the whole thing just kind of crashes on us and gets locked into patterns that don't allow the energy to flow in our lives the way that it's supposed to. So we're going to teach you how to not only feel what you're feeling in that body, but utilize those feelings in a fashion, hook them up to other energies that allow them to fuel your ability to rise to a higher state of consciousness overall, which ultimately leaves you able to interpret your life circumstances differently than you were able to see them just a moment before. Everything begins to change because you've connected the dots in ways that you were unable to operating from thoughts alone. Feelings are hugely important, and they've been thrown under the bus in our culture. Definitely. We're going to change that.
All right. Sounds good. Here's a question from Elizabeth that I'm sure plenty of people can relate to. She says, before the shutdown began, I was working within the medical system on some serious yet not immediately fatal medical concerns, which have now been put on hold. I'm trying to see this as the universe's way of forcing me to heal these things without medical intervention. But because it's serious, I'm afraid that I'm fooling myself. What do you think we can learn during this time of forced adaptation to a new way of living to heal these issues that we really need to see a doctor about but can't?
This is such an amazing part of what we are dealing with. And I'm sorry, Lisa, what was the name? Who am I speaking to?
Elizabeth. It was Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Okay, so Elizabeth, this moment is upon us. The body has an ability to heal. It has the ability to heal itself from many things that we have never been exposed to, that witnessing that it can heal. And here's our moment. If we are not able to seek medical attention because our issues are a little bit lower on a priority list than what is being dealt with at this time, in a trusted relationship with the universe and the way things go, we would automatically know that apparently this isn't bigger than I can handle, because this is what is before me. This is what I'm here dealing with. I have these issues. I'm not able to go and receive help out there. I better use this time effectively. And this is exactly what we're doing in this course. We're not only rebirthing ourselves in the present and for the future dynamically in the outer world through this course, we're also rebirthing our understanding of who we are as healers, who we are from the inside out. And when we align those energies in the way that they were designed to be operating, we automatically begin to heal because something more magnificent starts pouring through our whole system, and our system begins to heal on every level. So if there are concerns that it might be bigger than I can handle, I assure you that the universe is dishing out for or dealing us exactly the sets of circumstances in perfect divine right timing that are needed for us to awaken to our highest good, to our highest truth. And so if we can operate in that trust, we absolutely create a healing environment. If we remain in doubt, we wobble. And in that wobble, we're less of a healing environment than we're designed to be being. So this is exactly another reason that I put this course in and put it in this timing right now, because we need to be making sure that we are birthing the healer within. And we need to be making sure that we're birthing in a new fashion the creator within, so that we can dynamically move forward from the inside out, healing every layer of ourselves on the way. A byproduct of this is circumstances that you currently have as symptoms or health conditions, they will be supported by everything we're doing. And that will sustain you until you have time, or until you have opportunity, I should say. We all have a lot more time on our hands than we had just, a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, for sure. But until we have the opportunity to pursue those things in the way that we were, or that we were planning, and we may also find that we kind of don't, maybe we don't need to. We may find that we are healed to a degree that when we assert ourselves back into our old treatment regimes, we ask for a reevaluation. We ask for an updating because, hey, I'm not the same person I was 2 months ago when I had to interrupt this regime. And I, Dr. Sue, am here to ensure that we have the opportunity to rise up during this time in every way possible, so that that's a relevant question for you to ask when you do return to your original treatment regimes that you were in. You may not be the same person that requires them that you were when you interrupted, with this hiatus. So hopefully that's helpful.
I believe so. And for those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Dr. Sue Morter, learning about her upcoming course, The Energy Codes of Rebirth, which begins Wednesday, April 29th. And you can log on to energycodescourse.com for all the details and to register. So we have plenty more questions waiting here. Let's go ahead and get back into them. I've got a question here from Antonia, who watched the conversation that you had with Stephen Dinan recently, where you demonstrated the Empower step. And she says, I've been doing the Empower step for a week now, and I really feel a lot of heat moving in my upper chest, then spreading out to my arms and fingers. Is this an activation of extra circuitry that was not available before?
Absolutely. Brilliant. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. This Empower step was putting the body into a position that activates different parts of the brain, which we listed in that right brain, left brain, upper brain, lower brain, sensory cortex, motor cortex, the integrative system, the cerebellum, the visual cortex, the respiratory centers, et cetera, which are very important for all of us right now, and upper body, lower body, right side of the body, left side of the body. So it's a giant sequencing to reset. It's a contralateral exercise that allows the whole system to kind of jump online in a straightforward fashion again, a begin again kind of moment. And when we do resynchronize in this way, heat gets emitted because high frequency energy is set free inside your body. And when it hits the density of our old beliefs and our old blockages, friction occurs. And inside that friction, we experience that in the body as heat. And so that pranic energy, this healing energy that's being released, is doing its thing. When you feel that heat in the body or coming off the crown of the head or in the hands and the legs and the feet, what is happening is you're stepping closer and closer into the authentic true self. Now, I not only want to teach people how to do that and to refine that, but then to learn what to do with that new energy that's rising so that it doesn't just dissipate and get lost, but that we catch it and channel it and utilize it for our own creative capacity, our own robust vitality and health moving forward, our ability to think more clearly and stay present without freaking out or without, holding our breath in ways that we do when we get afraid or we get hesitant or procrastinating in some way due to just an unfamiliarity with leading our lives. So this rebirth conversation is going to apply on a physical level, on a mental level, on an emotional level, on a creative level in our lives. We're going to be taking scenarios and turning them into simple things that we can do every day to ensure that our systems are poised perfectly for sustaining this kind of transmutation that occurs inside our own physiology when we set this energy free. So I'm thrilled that you're onto it, and I look forward to allowing you to have applications for that are so very relevant at this time.
All right. I'm so glad that you brought up procrastination because it leads perfectly into Marie's question. Marie says, I want to take your course. It makes so much sense. My concern, though, is that since this crisis began, I can't seem to focus on anything in order to pay attention to something like this, even though I can see the benefit and want to do this. Do you have any advice to help me and others like me to focus, follow through, attend the course sessions, and actually do the work?
Absolutely. So the mind is the focuser. And yet, here's what happens. We live in our heads too much of the time. And if we're only living in our heads, we don't have anything to anchor and tether the mind to. So what I'm going to be teaching right out of the starting gates in the course is how to embody, how to anchor yourself in the body so that you're not just living in your head. When we anchor ourselves in the body, we begin to allow the focusing capacity of the mind to have a regular purpose, a purpose that is common ground, that brings every thought back to that same purpose, that brings all these ideas and all of the things that swirl us into fear and what is coming at us from the news and the media and the projections of the future and what it's going to be like and the depression that might be headed to us in a socioeconomic fashion, and then how the mind spins out on, oh my gosh, what if that happens? And then we get down that road and we're scattered. I'm going to show you instantly how to land in the body and to anchor yourself in such a fashion that you are right here, present. I know that people who go through this work are able to make decisions, have clarity, take action, and be constantly in touch with their highest purpose at the same time. Instead of making decisions based on safety and survival, we're making decisions based on deep, inner, true, core wisdom, universal intelligence filtered through our own core wisdom, rising to the mind and then making decisions. And those decisions are always in your favor. They're always, of course, including what will end up being safe and right and true for you. But they're not based on survival circumstances. And so every moment that you're learning to move out of survivorship and into creatorship, you're honing the mind into what it's literally supposed to be doing. The mind is supposed to be serving something greater than itself. And when we focus it on that, it stays super present and becomes super functioning. But when the mind is left to its own accord and we're just living in there in our heads and we're not tethered to the body to anchor it, it goes off in every direction because it's trying to search for what to serve. And it has this possibility and this possibility and this possibility and this possibility, and it tries to play them all out at the same time. And there is no greater stressor than indecision in our lives. The greatest stress in your life is indecision, because if there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 possibilities that you're considering, your mind is constantly working to figure out the possible outcomes of all of them. And it takes so much energy to do that. I want people to be able to quickly and clearly and decisively choose everything from the thoughts that they're going to focus on today, to the projects they're going to be working on, to how they're going to make decisions about today and tomorrow and their future, to make these decisions and have this singular focus to be at hand readily, easily, and consistently, because that's what we're built to be doing. That's how we're supposed to be living. So please understand that this course it isn't that you have to worry about what to do to stay focused and apply the practices. The practices are designed to allow you to stay present and stay focused and to implement them. The practices are designed to be used while you're living, not setting aside a whole hour every day to do these practices. They are things to do real time while you're walking through life, doing that thing that we do. And doing that thing that we do now in a new and different way. There's no time that it is more needed, not only more appropriate, but more needed than right now for us to learn how to stay. Because there are infinite possibilities ahead of us, because our old patterns and ways of doing things are not available. So we're all being forced into creativity. This is a beautiful thing when we know how to master that very thing. And that's what this course is about. It's about mastering the unknown, which means mastering this tendency to be unfocused and swirling around in all the possibilities and kind of getting overwhelmed. We're going to land the plane and show you how to find that system inside of you in a very systematic way that you can tap that and know, this is for me, this is a no thank you. This is a yes, this is a no thank you. This is a yes and a yes. This is a, sounds good, but it's not for me kind of thing that we're going to be cultivating. Your ability to make clear, focused decisions easily, is a very huge part of where we're headed into rebirth.
Okay. You've actually sort of indirectly answered the next question I want to bring up, but we were talking about focus specifically. Now, let me go ahead and read Alyssa's question. She says, I feel after many years of progressing that I'm now regressing. All of my credit cards are maxed out. I've never been in debt like this, having to charge things from groceries to gas because of no income. I'm getting depressed. I feel like a loser, and this is not normally how I feel. Can you please give me and others like me any helpful information and advice that you can?
You bet. I'm going to say that the fact that this is happening for so much of humanity simultaneously is a sign that this is an evolutionary process that's occurring for the species at large. And so rest assured that while it feels like you're regressing now with debt and not having cash flow and those kinds of things the way that we did before, think of it as an invitation to come inward, an invitation to choose wisely, an invitation to select in a discerning fashion. What is it that's going to propel me forward, and to allow myself to have a deep appreciation for my capacity to earn and to flourish in the past and to be out of debt. Once we've built the circuits to have ever done that, it's there. The circuitry is there. And as soon as things start moving again, if you're masterfully aligned, which is what I want to encourage and train and show people how to do, you absolutely will tap circuits that you already have in place of how to get out of debt and pay off your credit cards and pay your bills, et cetera, because you've done that before. And now you're in a situation that's actually going to allow you to witness yourself growing and evolving and celebrating and being victorious very quickly. It will be as if that process is compressed because you have the skill set already underneath your belt. Now, for those that were always just kind of getting along, getting by, and never really had to be victorious before in such a situation, but they are now going to have to be, because while they were never on this roller coaster thing before, they always were consistent and maintaining the steady flow and being responsible or whatever, and making things work in a way. And now, even though they have all their responsibility circuitry in place, they're not allowed to work. So, and yet some of their bills or most of their bills are continuing along the same way. It reveals a whole nother set of circuits that now need to come into play. And this is also something that we will be addressing. So if this is the first time that one remembers being under the crunch and under the gun in this kind of a way, we're going to pull that together and build some empowerment in the face of that and show you how to walk up out of this situation into a victory that perhaps hasn't been part of your history. But it is part of humanity's destiny to become victorious over the external circumstances of the third dimension. In fact, that's why we come. We come to have the experience of becoming victorious, finding our true resource of abundance within, finding a way to channel that internal abundance into outer world abundances that allow us to be highly functioning and productive and profitable, or be able to accumulate again and save it and have savings on top of just paying our bills. That we're here by design to allow that to happen through us. And rebirthing is about birthing and rebirthing and rebirthing and rebirthing and becoming the rebirther all the time. We want to consistently become the rebirther so that we're never surprised again when the external world collapses or shuts down or changes overnight in such a way that all of a sudden the things in the outer world that we were so dependent on for our stability, are taken away. We don't ever want to be caught unavailable for being pliable and malleable and flexible again. And the truth of us is we're ever changing, and so is the outer world. And I believe that right now is the time for us to learn how to surf this wave, because we're supposed to be the surfer always. So we'll never again be caught on our heels, as they say in baseball, when the outfielder is, kind of hanging out with his glove kind of tucked under his arm or whatever, and somebody, and he's leaning back on his heels, and somebody hits a pop fly to the outfield. Not like I'm a baseball fan. It sounds like I am. I don't know where these words are coming from, but hits a pop fly to the outfield, and the outfielder is caught on his heels, unprepared to get where he needs to get in time to catch the ball and make the play. We don't want to be caught on our heels again. And a lot of us were on a mental, emotional, psychological level. We didn't know that we would be able to work with this and surf with it and navigate ourselves in the way that we'll be able to when we come out of this course. And that's, it's a long answer to your question, but it's an important thing that we realize that we're capable of. So hopefully that's helpful as well.
Absolutely. Looking at the clock here, we have time for a few more questions, but before we take those, I'm going to go ahead and give a few details about the class. People are asking for more information. Once again, it's called the Energy Codes for Rebirth, and this is going to be just a phenomenal 7-week journey with Dr. Sue and her obviously expert guidance, where you'll discover healing energy medicine practices to become fully empowered, intentional co-creator of your life. And even in the most unpredictable times, as we're living in right now, the 7-week course takes place on Wednesdays at noon Pacific, starting Wednesday, April 29th. And as I mentioned earlier, if you can't join us live, that's fine, because you will not miss the teachings. You will receive audio and video recordings, transcripts, and all course handouts on your course homepage. Also, quick reminder that the Shift Network offers a no-risk money-back guarantee on our courses, giving you a full 2 weeks until May 13th in this case to make sure it's a good fit. We want you to be happy. Also, as an added option, all participants are welcome to join a private Facebook community group so you can connect with one another. Also, everyone who registers receives the Energy Codes for Rebirth bonus collection. First, you'll receive a video masterclass from Dr. Sue entitled You Are the Gift of Intuitive. Then you'll get 2 audio meditations from Dr. Sue called AM/PM Meditations, Essential Components of an Energy Codes Daily Practice. And next you'll receive an audio teaching from Dr. Sue entitled Reveal the Miracle. And you'll also get an audio meditation from Dr. Sue called Activating the Healer Within. Plus, when you register by midnight Pacific on Friday, April 24th, you'll receive this extra gift, and that is another video masterclass from Dr. Sue called Finding Strength in vulnerability. And for those of you who are asking how long the sessions are, they will be 2 hours long. So, Dr. Sue, before we get back into our viewers' questions, what are you most excited? I know you've already talked about a little bit about this, but this is a newish course. What are you most excited about sharing this time?
Well, you were just reading off the bonuses. I'm actually very excited about the bonus package as well, because I just put it together. So it's the first time I put many of those items together in a package for our courses here, and I'm thrilled about it, because as you were reading those titles again, I was remembering what's in those, and I'm thrilled about that alone. But in the course itself, I'm most excited about truly harnessing the creative power of the universe that we are made of, and I want people to get that they are a quantum field being and that they are made for creative moments. And that's all that we're in right now. We are in a massive creative moment if we choose to look at it that way. And if you have a challenge looking at it that way, then this course is definitely going to help you start to embrace this trusted relationship with the universe and the way things go and what unfolds in the course of your life. We know that the entire universe can be explained mathematically, and you chose to come in at a particular time where the equation was going to allow for the exact energies that you on a soulful level are ready to birth, are ready to become masterful at and animate and live live them into your life experience, so that you can experience these parts of you that are specifically orchestrated at this time. So the fact that you're living in the midst of such a virus that shuts down the globe at the same time is phenomenal. What it means is that this thing that's happening was charted in your plan, in your divine plan. And I want people to be able to cultivate this perspective that says, just because this is happening and it's freaking out my life and it's freaking out my relationships and my kids are driving me crazy and I don't know what I'm going to do with my husband being at home all day, or if you're the husband, what I'm doing at home all day when I'm used to doing something, whatever. And I don't, it could be any role in any part of any aspect of your life that is happening. But what I know is that it's happening in your favor. And if that's a tough one for you to really align with and to grok and to benefit from, then I'm thrilled to be sharing this conversation with you, because I know what it's going to do for your life, what it's done for my life personally, and what it's done for the tens of thousands of people that I've been working with in the last 20 years in particular, and 20 years before that in a clinical setting, that I know that results are inevitable through this work. And I'm really excited about plugging it into these today, now, moment issues. It's a course in application of the understandings that science and spirituality have been giving us now for many years. So I could go on and on. Lisa, I'm just excited about the course.
So am I. Let's go to a question here from Danielle, who says, I used to live in a constant state of anxiety, taking Xanax regularly, with a constant feeling of impending doom. But since this has started, I feel strangely calm, as if I can finally relax because my greatest fears are here. What are your thoughts on the energetics of this situation?
Yeah, I remember when my mother passed, I was so just devastated. And I kind of rose up out of that with, anything could happen now because the worst has ever happened. She was my best friend. She was just the most amazing person that one would ever hope to meet or have as a mother on top of that. And I remember that feeling of, anything could happen now, because if I can survive this, I guess I'm going to be able to get through anything. And what happens is it's a vibrational resonance with our greatest fears. When our greatest fears are happening, and yet we're still here, we begin to realize that the fear was here, and I'm still here with it. It actually allows for an up-leveling of our perception of self, that we actually begin to allow our greatness to be kind of known, embodied, and come forward in us. And the byproduct of that is we turn on to our creativity in that moment, because deep in the subconscious, we hold on to protectivisms in the event that that greatest fear should ever happen. And we actually make that greatest fear bigger. It becomes more monstrous because it's not known and we've not experienced it. And so when this collective thing is kind of, coming in what feels like on top of us, we rise up to meet it. And it turns out we're still breathing. We're still here. We're still aligned and we're still able to connect in this beautiful way. And we're tapping something that no other set of circumstances would tap for us, would cause us to find. And so in the midst of the chaos and the calamity and the contraction, we actually come to know our greatness. It's so ironic. And that's why I developed the course at this time, because we're sitting at this opportunity for everyone to be experiencing what you're saying right now, and to take that even further into really getting to the real reason that you're on this planet. So I'm not going to be just talking about the theories of how it all works. I'm going to break this down so that people are working with worksheets on themselves about how can I translate what I'm feeling right now into this meeting, this circumstance for what it is. And then getting to know, wow, I must be pretty big because this situation is pretty big and I'm still here. Maybe I can't pay my bills as easily as I thought, or maybe I don't know what to do with all this time on my hand, or maybe I don't know what to do with this feeling that's rising. But in this course, I'm going to learn what to do, and you bet I'm going to have it, because the fact of the matter is I'm still standing. I'm still here. And the subconscious is loving that right now. It's releasing fears that were hidden and that were dragging us down, not anchoring us the way I've been talking about it, but dragging us down into this splatted, dispersed state. And in that splatted, dispersed state, we're not in our greatness, and we don't have the life experience that we want to have. So when the worst case happens and we're still here, it's actually relieving to the system to realize, wow, I was just imagining a blockade for myself. And as it turns out, I'm surpassing that blockade. I'm leaving it behind. And now all this new energy, I want to teach you what to do with it, because we can birth, but we got to know what to do with who just got born. Who's being birthed right now in this birth canal that we're all in that feels a little squeezy, and it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. You bet you're going to make it. You're going to be more than you were before. But I'd love for you to know exactly what to do with that newly birthed energy that life is calling forth right now. So hopefully that's helpful. You're becoming a vibrational match to your greatness. That's why you feel better, even though things are crazy right now. Yeah.
Right, totally. Now, we've got let me sort of consolidate. A lot of people are concerned right now about, they're having weight issues. Some people are either just eating everything that's in the closet. Other people really aren't eating much more at all, and they're still gaining weight. Nobody can go to the gym. Exercising is becoming difficult. We're all just sort of getting a little pudgy. So I guess the consolidated question is, what do you suppose in your course will help people to balance out that extra girth that we're all sort of adding on to our physical forms?
Well put, Lisa. Okay, so here's the deal. There are a couple of reasons that we're gaining weight right now. One is that we're not as active and we're eating more, but there's also something else that I want people to understand, and I'll go into detail in this in the course more than we have time for here today. But there is an energy that is happening of transmutation. When creative energy is trying to birth, it can create this expansiveness inside our system. And it's important that we make that distinction and that we have some understanding about the differences between those things, so that we don't get worried about, like, oh my God, am I going to, is this just me, the new me? No, it's the birthing of the new you. It's like in gestation, before you're birthing, the pregnancy creates mom, she's gaining weight that's more than just the baby baby's weight, but she's gaining and retaining fluids and so forth because she's cleansing and detoxifying now for 2. Well, it's kind of like we're doing the same. We're cleansing and detoxifying for the old us, and we're cleansing and detoxifying for what's trying to birth at this time. And so it's an energetic thing that's occurring, and I'll go into explanations about it, but I'm also absolutely going to deliver practices that people can be doing at home every day, all the time. And even when we get released back out into the world a little bit, these are going to be things that are going to be important to sustain for a long time, because they contribute to health and vitality and robust immunity. And we know that as we go back out into the world, that, you know, the predictions are there's going to be a resurgence, and that we need to be prepared to enter into this world better off than we were before. So we have less fear going into any kind of resurgence than we had first time around. So yes, I'm gonna create patterns of thought and ways of being with yourselves every time you're making that trip to the pantry or to the refrigerator, that you allow a thought to go through your mind, that you bring mindfulness and consciousness to that. But I'm also going to give you alkalizing exercises and ways of eating and being and breathing and things to be doing every day that allow for this energy to continue to move in your body in a specific pattern that serves you the most. Because just intermittent calisthenic exercise doesn't do nearly for you some of the things that body awake exercises can do for you. Conscious calisthenics do something different for you than just push-ups and sit-ups trying to maintain, you know, some metabolism to burn off some of the foods that we're eating, etc. So we will have an entire program within the program designed to have you be working with that all the way through, and then we'll land with a grand finale of daily practices, so that you know that the things that you're doing are the most effective things. You know, I am a clinician. I came out of one-on-one patient-doctor relationships for 17 years before I started even going out and speaking. And I still continue to work with people and treat people and have people under observation currently. So I've been working with people personally for 40 years and watched my father do the same thing for the 25 years of my life before I became a doctor. So I'm very acclimated to outcomes and results and what it is that allows people to heal and what keeps them healthy and robust, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. And so that's a guarantee that those benefits will be delivered in part throughout the program, and then landing with very clear practices for everyone to be doing that are very tangible. You know, one thing about this course that's going to be a new expression of the Energy Codes courses that I've taught on the shift is lots of practical application, lots of practices and daily inferences, because I want you to build the circuits of application. Because rebirth is not just about knowing, it's about awakening and becoming and manifesting out in the world as what it is that we're learning about. So there's going to be time each session for you to really work with not just this cosmic understanding that I bring to all the Energy Codes courses, but okay, right now, how do I create a different life than I was living before we came into this shelter at home type of rhythm to life? And as we emerge back out again, how do we make sure that we don't just become who we were before? How do we become even better than that, so that we're always fluid and dynamic and malleable and flexible and dynamically creating all the time? Because that's the truth of who we are. We're a flow of consciousness that is constantly moving and changing. And it's imperative that we allow ourselves to be that, and that we become masterful at stewarding that into the world and for our friends and families. And, you know, sharing this information with those that we care about is very important as well.
All right. Well, I always love talking to you, Dr. Sue, but this in particular has been an exciting and illuminating conversation. I want to go ahead and thank our viewers for being with us today and for all of your great questions, because we can't have these conversations without you. Once again, the Energy Codes for Rebirth starts Wednesday, April 29th. And again, you can visit energycodescourse.com to learn more and to register. So, Dr. Sue, before we cut you loose, do you have any final words?
Well, I was just thinking, we spoke about my mother passing, and we spoke about the transitions of these difficult times, et cetera. It's so ironic, and I just thought of this. I knew that we're starting on the 15-year anniversary of my mother's passing, so I know that there is going to be tremendous and monumental energy in the teachings and in the work. And when we are especially present, and especially in our hearts, and especially clear on our purpose on the planet, things expand exponentially for everyone involved. So it's going to be a very heartfelt program, and I'm going to share with you everything that it takes to rise up in the face of the unknown and to become quite masterful at it. And as we have been speaking about today, the single most important thing that we can realize is that we are made of infinite potential, and birthing and rebirthing is the number one thing that we're going to be doing the rest of our lives. And so if we can learn that now under these circumstances, those skill sets that we will be developing will be enhancing the rest of our lives exponentially in directions that we never dreamt of before. So I look forward to sharing that with all of you. I've always loved so much my shift courses, and our meeting times together are very special to me. So I look forward to connecting with you all very deeply very soon.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you again, Dr. Sue, and thank you for sharing that about your mom. I absolutely understand the energy behind that. So thank you for that. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lisa. You're always magnificent. So my delight. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, back at you. And once again, I want to thank everyone who joined us today. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great day, everyone.